because so many of us put time limits on ourselves on what we should do, should or shouldn't do, through grieving, or any goals or relationship or whatever it is, whether it's a job and you feel like, oh my God, I'm back to square one, I've got nothing, realizing that once you've got life, once you've got breath, once you're here, you can always make a difference. Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Dr. Lydia Show. I'm Dr. Lydia. I know it's been a while since I've been here, and I'd like to apologize. I know we all have our personal lives, and I wanted to share a little bit about mine. Since my last episode, I lost my dad, and it's been really tough, not just for me, but for my kids and my family. So that's why I have not recorded any episode or posted at all since then. And if you've been following me or anything like that, I think it's only fair that the first episode back, that I would be authentic as I possibly can, and just, share a little bit of my experience and a little bit of things that may have helped me during my time of grief. Because these are situations and things that mostly everybody goes through. So today, I wanted today's topic to be about grief itself. And I came across this great thing about the 7 stages of grief that I wanted to share with you. Because whether it's somebody that's died in your family, or if you lost a loved one, or whether it's a job or something like that, it really doesn't matter. The body processes these emotions basically the same way. And a lot of times when I visit people and I share with them that, look, these are what you're going to go through. This is what you are to expect. And most of them don't even understand it. So right off the back, the 7 stages of grief. 1 is shock and denial. That feeling of disbelief and numbness. And for me, even though I think, my dad was sick for a long time, and he was asking to see us, and we went to visit him, and we did say bye to him, even though it was kind of we were kind of expecting this to happen, I don't think nothing could ever prepare me or the kids, or maybe for you, for something like this to happen. So that sense of shock, numbness, disbelief is like, man, like, how do you function after this experience? And then the 2nd stage, it's more of pain and guilt. It says here that it's a feeling of suffering and remorse. And what I've learned in researching this is that some people, they stay in that stage of pain and guilt, and trying to remind themselves, because they think that they're deserving of this, right? One of the books that I was reading is called Effed Your Brain by Dr. Harper, I think her name is. That book is absolutely, like, if you ever come across it, or I recommend that you give it a read, because she used science to help people to get through different things, stages of grief, anxiety, depression, or whatever it is that you may be going through. So that's actually a great read. Or even if it's just anger that you're going through. So what happens is, what I've realized, even for myself, is like, do I deserve to move on from this traumatic event? And the thing is, even though you may not think you're deserving of it, you are here and life continues. So you still have to pick up the pieces. And I thought about that. I thought about what my dad would have wanted for me. And I thought, okay, well, that may be it. The 3rd stage would be anger and bargaining. And that's a feeling of frustration and desperation. During that time, I know a lot of people, because even through my dad's situation, a lot of people lash out because everybody grieve differently, right? Regardless of whatever the circumstances. And even if I'm talking about this in the experience of just losing a loved one, right? But if, regardless of whatever the circumstances, because some people, whether it's a loss of a job, your body will react and go through these exact emotions. Um, Whether it's a relationship that it's over, you know, your body really have to process it, and most likely a lot of these feelings you will have to deal with and go through. Okay, so the third stage for me was, Masha, please stop, don't do that anymore, I'm recording my show, thank you. And we're back. The third stage, after anger and bargaining and that feeling of frustration, then I think you've ever heard that saying that says it's the darkest before the dawn. It always seems like there is no place like you could ever really get over this. But right after anger and bargaining, then comes depression. That feeling of, man, reflection, loneliness, what is life without that person anymore, that feeling of sadness, isolation. And depression is where a lot of people stay. Do you know what I mean? At one point I read someplace that for a lot of people is there's no one way to go through these stages, right? It's not like you go here, then you'll never go back, and then you just keep on moving forward. It's more of, you could go one stage, you've dealt with it, something happened that triggers you right back to the previous stage, you know? And for some people, they could be in stage 3 for years and never move on to stage 4, which is depression, because that right there can be pretty tough. I mean, whether it's, like I said, whether it's losing someone or if it's a relationship, you want to be in bed all day, you don't want to move. It's just that feeling of, ah, man, the whole world's on your shoulder. But some of the good things that come next is that after the depression, then the upward turn starts to happen. That feeling of calmness and adjustment. You see, that's the stage that when you're in depression stage, you don't ever see the light. It's like there's no tomorrow. But then after that, then you start to the reconstruction, the working through those feelings, the emotions, like what's next, the problem solving, the coping mechanisms, the using the support of everyone around you and the community, and that will help you through. And the final stage is acceptance and hope, a feeling of peace and optimism, that understanding that regardless of whether or not that person is here with you, they're always here with you. um, one of the biggest things that my daughter said is that, a part of her coping, I think, but even for me, it was like, now he doesn't seem so refined or confined to one particular location. My dad doesn't seem that far anymore. I think that he's just closer to me. And I don't know, I just feel like he's just another angel, another ancestor that's watching over us and guiding us and getting us to where we need to go. So, what I wanted to do through this journey is to offer you some tips if you're going through anything. One of the first things is that, remember that grief or anything like that, no two persons are the same. I can't expect for you to deal with things the way I do, and vice versa, you know. One of the most important thing to do also is to remember self-care. Take care of yourself, because like I said, if I think about my dad would want me to be okay. My dad would want me to work through it all. And once I have life, that's exactly what I intend to do. So another tip would be to honor the person that you lost, or whatever it is. I mean, I know, like, some people, if it's like a relationship, they want to throw everything away. If that's your way of dealing with it, so be it. Just don't get yourself into trouble. But for me, what I did was I had a memorial service here. We had a funeral. I mean, there are so many different ways for you to deal with a loss. So, and that's why I'm sharing this stuff with you, right? Another one would be create a memorial. Um, a really cool one is take pictures or collages and put them together. And remember all the fun times and the good times that you've had, you know? Share and talk about the good times. See, it goes right on to the next tip, is that I I had like this really cool video of my dad, like he was in the ocean, and when they were at the beach, and the wave was just hitting him over and over again, because of course he was a fisherman. And I just keep watching it and laughing and just remembering all the good times that he used to have, you know? And I use the exact same thing in sharing the experiences with the kids and their grandfather, and all the great times that they had. And this right here has helped us to cope with our losses. The next tip is set short-term goal. So when I came back, I mean, using like all of this, well, I'll tell you later. So setting short-term goals. So don't be so hard on yourself, right? Be kind to yourself, where you set short-term goals. Okay, well, today I may not be feeling like it, but if I start walking, right, then I'll feel a little bit better. Um, Another tip is exercise is actually a good one. I found that exercise has helped me tremendously. I have a sauna. I'm just like, reading has helped me. I don't necessarily have a book in front of me, but some people are comfortable with the book and the smell and the feel of having a book. So do that. If that works for you, do it. You know, because it's really essential. And the next tip here says to be kind to yourself, because so many of us put time limits on ourselves on what we should do, should or shouldn't do, through grieving, or any goals or relationship or whatever it is, whether it's a job and you feel like, oh my God, I'm back to square one, I've got nothing, you know? Realizing that once you've got life, once you've got breath, once you're here, you can always make a difference. The next step is allow yourself to grieve. And look, I am probably the worst to tell you this about myself, because I don't like to sit here and wallow in my own pain, you know? So what I would probably do is work out. I'm reading because I want to change my brain or my thoughts, so I really don't have to deal with it. I don't know how healthy that is too, so I really can't advise you on that. But I'm telling you, like, I'm probably terrible at that particular one. I found that journaling, though, has been a tremendous help, because anything that is going on, I always have a book with me, and I call it my idea book and feelings book. And anything that's happening, I want to write in my book. Actually, a long time ago, I came across something that says, and I also use a book for my book of thankfulness too, like a thankful journal, like at night. I write in it of things that I'm thankful for, and that actually helps to change my thoughts and my feelings so that I don't wallow in my own sorrow, you know? The next tip, though, is to let yourself cry. Let yourself cry. Let yourself be vulnerable. It is not a sign of weakness, whether you are a woman or a man. Well, especially a man, I guess I'm talking to you, is that if you're going through something, you should find somebody who allow you to be yourself, that you could cry on their shoulder, that they will listen to you, that will be there for you, because this is so important. All those days where they said, oh, men don't cry. No, no, no. We all are humans and we feel the same. And we are processing, our bodies are going through the exact same thing, and we're processing things the exact same. So allow yourself to cry, allow yourself to feel. And look, if you've tried all of this, wait, let me go back to journaling, right? Because like, I remember like when my kids were well, I've always been like that with them. It's like I usually say to them, look, I'm going to give you a certain amount of time, but what I need for you to do is write it in a song for me. And so while they were growing up, they thought it was me pushing them to get through whatever it is. Well, kind of, right? But what I knew at that moment was emotions are so strong that when you use it and put it, some of the best songs or the best ideas or the best start to any great thing start from a situation that seems so hopeless at that particular time. So for me, I'm like, put it in a song. Let me hear what it feels like. And then one day, one of my sons was going through a breakup, right? And he was like, oh, she broke my heart. And I was like, I know it hurts, baby, but put it in a song. And he did. A couple minutes later, he came back and I said, do you feel better? Because to me, like, I've found that after I've written it down on paper, after I've expressed it and put it all, whether it's thankfulness or how I'm feeling or what I'm going through, once I've put it on paper, it's like a transfer of energy onto the paper. And then I don't necessarily feel as angered or hurt or depressed anymore. You know, I am not going to pick up any bad habits of drinking or smoking or none of that, because none of that is not healthy for me, I don't think, and moving me forward. You know, some people don't want to feel and then they'll pick up a bottle instead of dealing with the circumstance. Look, I don't think that's a healthy way of doing it. Some people use sex as a coping mechanism for not feeling. Again, I don't think that's a healthy way of dealing with it either. But I think that journaling and all these other tips that I've given you before, setting short-term goals, setting new goals, and if at any point during that time you feel like you can't do it on your own, and share it with your community, or you can always seek help. There are always people out here that are willing to help you. I mean, you're probably like, well, I can't afford a therapist. Consider talking to a pastor or somebody that's older than you that won't judge you for what it is that you're going through, and that would be also important. So for us, what we did was I came back with a sense of hope, a sense of longing and desire. So in order to honor my father, we decided and we started a new business that's so exciting, I think, for us and the family moving forward. So I'm telling you, these tips actually work. Learning from the 7 stages of grief, understanding what's happening to you so you can go through the process, and then in turn honoring those memories instead of thinking that they're gone forever, but share them with yourself and everyday experience as you go is the best way to heal and move forward. And again, I hope all these tips have been helpful. Not just the tips itself, is that you understand what's happening to you, and whether it's a relationship, loss of job, or any form of loss, that you're able to and know that I know, because all our situation is different, is for me to first say, I'm sorry you're going through it, but I know you're strong enough to get through it. So that's why I wanted to come on. I wanted this to be the first episode. I know it's probably a little bit shorter than all my other episodes. My hope is to continue to pour into you and share my experiences with you in hopes that I could help you to get through maybe anything that you're going through, you know? Because again, in order for us to have and create generational wealth, we have to deal with, I don't know, the world around us and who we are as humans. So thank you for watching. Thank you for being a part of my podcast and my community. Thank you for being here and being a part of my journey. And if you would like to be a guest on my show, you could send me an email. Going forward, I'll have a few more guests. So I know that you guys have liked some of the ones that we've had previously, and my intent is to have that keep going for you. So if you'd like to be a guest on my show, send me an email. Remember to share, like, and comment, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. I'm Dr. Lydia.